I'm wondering about for people that have had a bunch of things go wrong all at once and breathing is not enough. Um, because I think if you just look at the last year, there's probably a large percentage of the world that has a bunch of things going on. Like maybe they lost their job and the pandemic and the natural disaster all on the same week. So what would be, because we want this to sort of become something we're not thinking about, but something we just sort of naturally do, like a new habit. So how do you recommend sort of people train this to become unconsciously competent?
Oh, good. Yeah. So first I have to say that I have another whole book about that, which is called Tame Your Anxiety, Wiring Your Brain for Happiness. But the cortisol piece is also briefly managed in the new book, Status Games. So the other thing I want to say in regard to this year is do not watch the news. The news is designed to focus your attention on the worst possible interpretation of the worst thing that's going on. Another thing, I like when I wake up in the morning, the first thing I think about is the worst thing that happened to me yesterday. And if I wake up in the middle of the night, then it's even worse because your defenses are even lower in the middle of the night. So to explain this, if you are a caveman and you wake up in the morning and you come out of your cave, what's the first thing you have to do is like look around, make sure there's no predators around. Okay, so while you're sleeping, you have no defenses, you're defenseless. And then as your brain revs up and activates the circuits that make you who you are, you're like, okay, the first thing I have to do is manage any potential immediate threat. What immediate threat is there? If my life is actually safe and my needs are actually met, then the one thing that hurt my feelings yesterday could be like the only threat that my brain could find. And that like drops into the threat slot, and then okay. I actively know that that's what I did.
Gotcha. So something you're searching for something to fill that slot. And it could be the slightest little thing. Yeah. And so what happens if you don't fill the slot?
Oh, you just do that. Your brain automatically goes there. So then you have to notice like, oh, so my brain is telling me to worry about that, but now I can choose whether I actually worry about it,
Okay.
So, but to address your larger question about what to do when you're actually worried, and maybe you actually have decided that you have a reason to worry. So I have a 3-step process in Tame Your Anxiety. So you put a timer on for 60 seconds. And that's when you do this conscious scan of like, what am I worried about? Because often like once your cortisol turns on, and even doctors tell you you're supposed to have cortisol in the morning, it gets you going, but they ignore the link between the cortisol and the negative thoughts. So when a monkey wakes up in the morning, it's hungry, it has to find food. If it doesn't find food, it will starve. So cortisol is that message that says, get going, do what you need to do. Meet your needs, relieve threats, and then you get to define that. You get to define your needs and define your threats. So if you don't consciously do that, you're going to use the circuits built from past experience. So you want to give yourself time to consciously decide, like, why am I feeling threatened? What's the biggest threat? And am I just doing this on automatic? What threat will I consciously, what's my best guess as to what really triggered this cortisol? And a lot of my work is about understanding the cortisol circuits of your past so you know why you slide so easily into certain threatened feelings. And the title of that chapter is called Why It's Always High School in Your Brain. So high school is when we wire in these threatened feelings that then we waste our lives repeating.